Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder 2 Duck Talks number 70. Today I dedicate this episode to a person that shall not be named, but I guess you know who you are. To that person that remembered a quote when I said as a bad joke, well, whenever Jingles makes a War Thunder video, I make a Duck Talks video, and so when Jingles made now this a War Thunder video, this person remembered the quote, and so I'm forced to do a War Thunder video. Here I am. So the next thing is, let's go through the topics. I want to begin with whiskey testing. I want to then talk about the announced battle rating changes and what I think about them. Then also the Operation Shipyard, or rather the aftermath and my experience in it, what I think about it, etc. Then the status of Naval RB, and then at the end the map rotation filter. At the very end of the video I'll answer the questions from the last Duck Talks. The Duck Talks number 69, where I also will only answer the questions that are hashtagged with hashtag question, because it is so much quicker to filter those questions out. And as usual, one of you might earn himself or herself a pinned post if you give all the timestamps for those topics. Now let's go right into it, and let's begin with the first topic, and this is whiskey testing. This is a little bit of real life stuff, and I think that, well, when I had my birthday party a while ago, I got many whiskeys gifted, and I'm happily now playing War Thunder, and I'm testing one brand once in a while. And I also have promised some of my friends that I will bring those battles with me when we do a whiskey testing at their home, where they will also add some whiskeys to the whiskey testing line, I guess. And yeah, it is very nice, and I think, to be honest, I'm not quite sure which kind of whiskey I prefer, because the Scottish ones, they really have their charm, but also the Irish ones are really tasty as well. And I think it goes a bit more to the brand than to if it is from Ireland or from Scotland, although the Scottish whiskies are a bit rougher in their taste, but again, this has a bit of its own charm. And I know that there is a big controversy amongst those whiskey lovers, which brand is best and which age and how to drink it, etc, etc. And I'm far from an expert from it, but it is again a very interesting experience. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the battle rating changes that Gaijin have announced. The first thing that caught my eye was that Gaijin only wants to change the battle rating of one ship. And that is a patrol boat ship, a Russian, and in AB mode out of all of the chances. And that makes no sense whatsoever. The compression amongst the destroyers and also the cruisers is insane, and a lot of the battle ratings make no sense. If I look at the fleet, why is the USS Trenton 0.3 battle rating lower than the USS Raleigh or Raleigh? I never get this name right. It makes no sense whatever. They're basically the same ship, just the CL7 has a touch more anti-aircraft capabilities, but it makes absolutely no sense. And if we then go for the cruisers, the top-end cruisers, the Brooklyn has the same battle rating as the Admiral Hipper. Wow. But the next thing is, why is the Köln at 5.3 and the Nürnberg at 5.7? Same story as with the first two American cruisers. They are more or less the same ship, but the Nürnberg has the same battle rating as the Hipper of 5.7. It makes no sense whatsoever. And then the Soviets, well, the Krasny Kavkaz is a better cruiser than the Krasny Krim, but yet it has a lower battle rating. And then the Kirov and the Chapayev have the same battle rating, but both are punching above their weight, and they never deserve the same battle rating as the Nürnberg, or from the British, the HMS Southampton. And well, due to the map design and the matter overall, the HMS Enterprise, the HMS Dido, and the HMS Arethusa all have the 5.0 battle rating, but they all have various different levels of performance. Especially the HMS Dido is probably one of the best anti-aircraft cruisers in the game when it comes to the main batteries. And then the next thing is the HMS Tiger at 5.7 is the same battle rating as the Mogami. And then the Furutake has the same battle rating as the Mogami. But the best thing is still that the IJN Kako, with its 6 20mm, has 0.3 battle rating lower than the Furutake, but it has better performance. The battle rating and the compression within naval forces is insane. But let's move on to the tanks, because the tank battle rating now get increased to 10.3. Finally. But the battle rating of 10.3 should have been a thing like a year ago. This is long overdue. The new top tier battle rating for the best main battle tanks should be 12, maybe even 13. Now, the counter argument is there are not enough players, too long of a queue time, there are not enough vehicles to make lineups, etc, etc. There are other nations that don't have entire lineups at a certain battle rating, where they have no tank, plane or ship at all. But yet this argument is used. And it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because a lot of people shy away from top-tier battle ratings because of too much compression, because if they don't have a top dog, let's say when it comes to planes or tanks or ships, then there are nothing but gun food, right? And so this needs to be addressed as well. We need a much higher battle rating. And then no new top battle rating for planes at all. The best top battle rating will still be 10.0. This is insane. 9.0 will still be within the black hole range of the 10.0s. As so many planes, ships and tanks get made completely useless and obsolete. The compression does not get addressed. And this is one of the big downsides of War Thunder. The battle rating the battle rating system though is a brilliant, mighty tool. I've said this a while ago, that the 20 tier system is garbage. The 20 tier system would make things even worse, even more compression and less flexibility. The battle rating system is awesome, but it's a problem that Gaijin doesn't use it, right? So please don't confuse those two things. So I think the battle rating changes are an absolute mess. They are just far from reality. A lot of the ships, planes and tanks that are fine get changed, and those who need changes don't get changes. We don't see a new battle rating top end except for tanks, but only by 0.3 increase, which is laughable when you look at the performance. Let's go back to tanks and let's talk about an example that I used quite often, but just to refresh your memory. When the M1 Abrams came out, you know, the first Abrams that comes after the XM803, it was the very best tank that we have seen in War Thunder, period. The best gun performance, the best gun handling, faster turret traverse, fastest speed, best armor, best survivability, blowout panels, etc, etc, all the good things that you want, and support by good planes and anti-aircraft, etc. It was just the best tank. Now it sits at the same battle rating, which is still the top battle rating, and it gets outperformed by any other 10.0, maybe with one or two exceptions. Not just is the IPM1, which is not all that much better, at the same battle rating, but the M1A1 Abrams with a 120mm smoothbore gun sits at the same battle rating. And now we just look at Italy from the last patch. The Ariete just nearly doubled the performance in terms of penetration, is also very fast, good armor and overall very good handling, but it renders the survivability and the armor of the first Abrams completely obsolete, whereas before it was just merely unbreachable. And I have yet to test out the Ariete PSO, whatever the changes will there be. I still have to play it for myself. And then there are tanks such as the Adats that are absolutely brain dead, right? And then the helicopter spam. Blah. Ugh. Top tier is a mess. It's a real mess, and that's a shame because it could do so much more. Now, on to the next topic. And as you can see in the background, I'm talking here about the Operation Shipyard and the MBK 161 from 1943. And this is how I assemble my first one, and so far also the only one that I managed to get, because I did not hardcore play the event. I tried to see how far I get with normal playing and with out using the marketplace. A little bit of a spoiler here, I did not even manage to get all the parts necessary for the first ship. No, I even had to invest 60 cents or 60.6 Gaijin coins on the marketplace. And I was coming home from work tired and late. I had to make a video. I wanted to grind. I didn't want to play the very best ship tank plane to secure first place all the time, etc. to maximize the overall income. I could have probably finished 2 if I would have really gone for it. But 2? Oh boy. And as you can see, the assembly time took quite a while, and I'll let you enjoy this as background footage for the moment. So I managed only to assemble 1, but even that was not possible for me without the marketplace. Okay, 60 cents, it's okay, I guess, but it's the principle. It was very much designed to include the marketplace. And when I look at the prices of the VT12 and the H34 in particular, which both cost at the moment 53 Gaijin coins each on the marketplace, that is rough, that is expensive, and both vehicles at the moment are way too good for their battle rating in terms of armament, performance, etc. And they are disgusting at the moment. They again ruin the balance, and again it is designed on purpose, I have the feeling, just to make the quick thick buck in typical Gaijin fashion. Whatever they say, I don't believe them that they make this only by accident. Oh, Tovarish, we have not seen this coming like the last 15 times. Oh no, again. Oh, let's increase battle rating. Let's reduce the performance, but only after we have sold enough. Yeah. So that is absolutely brain dead. I hate this approach from this company. And even the MBK 161 by itself is 0.7 battle rating too low. We have nearly the same ship here in War Thunder already, right? In the tech tree, the Soviet one. Again, I guess they will get nerfed one way or the other later. So, and then the event itself showed again the worst within the players, how they played, which kind of vehicles they chose, and the playstyle, etc. Whenever there was something ready for being abused, players abused it just to secure the most amount of stuff to then assemble with. It's nothing new, but again, it's just that when there is an event, playing the game just for having fun is barely possible. Now, the next thing is the marketplace. A lot of people said that they made actually again a fortune with selling and buying the items at the right moment, and I know that the marketplace is somewhat self-regulating, but again, the only ones really profiting from are Gaijin. Because if you think that you made a little bit of Gaijin coins to invest later in Golden Eagles, this is the money coming from somebody else, because you have to buy those Gaijin coins with real money, and there is always a certain tax on this. I'm not quite sure, is it 20%, 15%, something like this, and this is a constant drain of the marketplace's overall value. So at the end, it's only Gaijin profiting from it. Now let's talk about another topic where Gaijin is not really profiting from it, and again, it's all to their own fault. Now, don't get me wrong, I love War Thunder, and I would love Gaijin to make a huge amount of money, but for the game to work and me having fun, that is. And me having fun in terms of not fighting constantly new overpowered premiums, etc. And that brings us to the next topic. And that is the current status of naval forces, especially realistic battle. The conquest mode, where there is just a circle of spawn points in open ocean with no cover, is not good implemented. I think it is bad, and again, it's kind of the same if you play Tank RP. It's the equivalent of Fuller Gap Map or Kursk, where by default those are not bad maps, but where the spawn points lie and the objectives, etc., it's not well done. And so again, big maps get a bad reputation within War Thunder. What got actually a very good reputation is ship realistic battle enduring confrontation. And so my question is actually, when will we see the next iteration? And hopefully Gaijin polishes here a little bit about the objectives, the income, etc, etc. There are so many opportunities to improve this game mode where it's already good and promising, but at the moment it needs a bit more polishing. The arcade mode was an absolute long lance fest, and that was not really all that great. By the way, that was the only arcade video I guess I made so far, with the exception of the closed beta testings, I guess. But yeah, you can see that this is a promising thing. It depends if this will result in the same way that Air RBEC ended up, just as an event once in a while. The next thing is, it's a bad thing if we have 2/3 of the players listed are actually bots. That kills the immersion, and that reduces also the income. Even if you kill them all, you get significantly less than if you would kill a player in the normal realistic battles. So again, this is down to the map design being bad, the spawns being bad, the fact that that cruisers are still irrelevant for the outcome of the match, because patrol boats just capture the stuff and the cruisers can't get even near this. Then again, the compression, as I stated before, where it makes no goddamn sense that, for example, if you look at the American cruisers, okay, then why have the USS Trenton and the USS Raleigh, the CL-11 and the CL-7, 0.3 difference in battle rating, but the Relay has the same as the USS Atlanta? It makes no goddamn sense. The CL-11 and the CL-7 should have the same battle rating. I get that the USS Relay has a touch better long-range anti-aircraft, but that should not be the decisive factor, right? If you look at Germany, why does have the Köln and the Nuremberg not the same battle rating? Yes, the Nuremberg has a touch better AAA and has a touch better turret front armor, but that's about it. But the Nuremberg then has the same battle rating as the Admiral Hipper. That makes no goddamn sense. And if you look at the Soviets, the Krasny Kafkas is a better cruiser than the Krasny Krim, yet the battle rating is reversed, 5.0 to 5.3 respectively. And then the Kirov and the Chapayev have the same battle rating. While I understand this, you know, because the Chapayev has more DPM with less alpha in contrast to the Kirov, but the Chapayev is overall a better ship because it has the combination of alpha strike, DPM, and also armor in contrast to some other ships. Then we have the British, and this is a huge insult, because I think that the HMS Enterprise, the HMS Dido, and the HMS Arethusa, all three have a 5.0 battle rating, yet Gaijin wants to make me believe that the HMS Southampton and the HMS Tiger, both 5.7, can really bring up a fight versus a Hipper, a Kirov, and you know, the Chapayev. And then we look at Japan. By the way, this makes Britain with the Royal Navy the worst naval faction in War Thunder. That is by itself a massive insult. And also Great Britain is so far, together with the Americans, the only nation that don't have access to 8-inch guns. Talking about 8-inch guns, let's talk about here Japan. How is the Furutaka with its 6 8-inch guns the same battle rating as the IJN Mogami at 5.7? And the Mogami can really not fight versus a Hipper, a Chapayev, and a Brooklyn. because it doesn't have any sort of significant armor on the turrets, and the firing arcs are terrible. And while the torpedoes are great, they don't make for a good cruiser in War Thunder at the moment. And the IJN Kaku also has 6 20cm guns or 8-inch guns, same as the Furutaka, yet it has better performance with a lower battle rating. How does this make sense? And I have not even talked about the destroyers, the premium destroyers, the patrol boats, you know. So this is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I have talked about this in separately dedicated videos, and Gaijin has done nothing about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not as arrogant as to think that Gaijin would listen to my videos, but the feedback, you know, I've provided the links to certain people. They said they would have a look at it and nothing has come of it. Yet I think that I have some good suggestions in my videos, and I always invite you to address your problems and also your opinions in my comment section. So the status of Naval RB is really not all that great. And it's always down to the compression, the power creep, the feature creep, the bad map rotation, the bad map design, the bad objectives, bad game modes overall, and also the grind is pretty terrible. And also the stock grind on certain ships is absolutely outrageous, especially if you have to unlock a tool set and the fire protection system on a cruiser. That is absolutely outrageously stupid. I hate it. And also a long time ago, Flamu, this World of Warships YouTuber / streamer, also mentioned this in his look at naval forces, and nothing has come of it. The only thing that now remains from the great free parts and FPE thing is that you only have to unlock one rank 1 upgrade to unlock rank 2 upgrades. So yes, while it makes it a little bit better, if you also look at the Mogami, at rank 1 you have to unlock the tool set and also the armor piercing, as well as then the faster turret traverse for the anti-aircraft, the auxiliary and the primary armament. And so many upgrades are important for the cruisers because you can't even maneuver your ship properly in time before you get shredded. Right from the spawn, mind you. So everything about naval forces needs an overhaul. It has its charm, it has its moments, and there is so much potential. And again, Gaijin insists on wasting it, and that makes me really sad. The last major topic is the map rotation filter, and this is actually a good thing, a thing that I really like. And I haven't used it yet, up until now, and I did so to see what the effects are, so what the overall thing of the community is. And certain maps I just didn't really see. For example, American Desert, a map that I really hate, as well as Italy, I have rarely seen, right? So the community has given its vote. But I think that Gaijin gets the wrong from it, because it depends at the battle rating where you get which map. So if you go back to the example of naval forces, the same maps get used at high and also low battle rating. So the same maps get used for PT boats, for destroyers and cruiser fights. And that means certain maps, certain map designs, for example Mediterranean port, they are okayish for patrol boats, mind you. There is always this one overpowered location with the right ship. But for an initial fight, destroyer versus destroyer and cruiser versus cruiser, it is still stupid. And so I dislike the map if I play in a cruiser, but I wouldn't really dislike it if I would play it in a patrol boat, because there are worse maps for patrol boats. And then it depends on the certain rank of the certain ship. And this is a bit too much for the system. And the system is very limited. For example, again, it's a good idea, but I need more bans available for me, because certain maps suck in general, regardless of the game mode. Then I need more dislikes, and often the same map is listed in multiple various variants, so I have to spend all my bans and dislikes, for example, on one map. But in general, I have to say that I also want a thumbs up like button, or wanna pick my preferred maps. So this would give Gaijin much more feedback, much more usable information on which maps get preferred by the players. But the next thing is, it's not necessarily the map that's being bad. For example, Italy. Italy is per se not a bad map. I would just rotate all the spawns by 90 degrees so that the city is cutting the map from bottom to up in half and not from left to right. I think that many great tanks can fight in the open and can also choose to fight on certain lanes in the city. I think to try that out would increase the acceptance by the player base. But sometimes, you know, certain maps are really, really poorly designed. So the map rotation filter, something that has potential, that I hope we will see some new maps. But when it comes, for example, to Air RB, I in general hate a lot of those reskinned tank RB maps because they all have the same objective layout. And that is what I hate. It's not that I hate the maps per se, but most of them are just flat, and the fighting, despite the maps being really large, is in the middle. This is also a thing with some of the new naval RB maps, where you have to sail for 5 minutes in a straight line, you have nothing to do, and then you fight at close quarters with cruisers anyway. So this is absurd, and I think Gaijin needs to address this. So those are all the topics for now, and now I wanna answer the questions from last Duck Talks. Let's begin with Rudolf Antler that has the question: Hey Napalm, since you like covering War Thunder and you do like metal, can you advise a lot of metal bands that deal with the subject of war? The more genres, the better. Well, that is a question that obviously has as the first answer Sabaton. Sabaton is a great band. I saw them live. They're really great. And I think when it comes to dealing with the subject of war, there are so many death metal bands and black metal bands, especially the black metal genre really loves to get into war with Christianity. That's just how it is. It depends more on if the metal band is really hitting my taste. That is more important than what exactly they sing about, because if the music's really catchy and you really like it and you can listen to it for hours, then that's a good band. Yeah, I think there is also Amon Amarth that really like to sing about Vikings and Viking warfare, etc. There are so many bands, I cannot really mention them all, but yeah, Sabaton is the ultimate answer when it comes to singing about warfare, singing about certain aspects of World War One and World War Two in particular, but also Roman Empire, whatever. Sabaton is the best answer. But again, also Amon Amarth is one of the bands that I really like. Obviously, I also am a big fan of Rammstein, but they do not really sing too much about war. It's more about interaction with women, let's put it that way. The next question comes from Emel Giefro. Question: how does one get the will to play again? This game feels like one-way love. I just can't get the will to start the game because of Gaijin threatening the game like this. Well, if you don't enjoy it, if you really have a bad time playing War Thunder, the ultimate tip is drop it. Drop it for a while. Or you just grinding your teeth out because you're playing the wrong game mode, because you're playing the wrong vehicle types, or you just should drop in battle rating, because there are so many sweet spots within War Thunder if you want to play for fun, right? War Thunder definitely has seen better times over the past couple of years, and currently Gaijin is really stretching it, the way that they handle top tier and the amount of bugs, etc. But to be honest, if you are loving World War II tanks, then battle ratings from 3.3, 3.7 onwards up until, let's say, 5.0 are perfectly fine in my opinion. Yes, there are some stupid tanks here and there, but in general, it's fine. Then, Claudie Fushin, thank you for taking time to answering my question. Here's one for next Duck Talks. Does the Orbital 74 HVG battle rating increase? In my opinion, it is getting used excessively. It still has a high price on the marketplace. This is probably the equivalent of a high rank Italian Packwagen. It is fun, it is efficient, it is fast, and this is always a tank's favorite meta. I think maybe 0.3 higher and you would see that it would drastically drop in usage. But again, it is very fast in a straight line on paved road, and certain tanks like these get used regardless of the battle rating. And when you think about this, that you can punch straight through the front of a lot of tanks with ease, just because you have APFSDS, even though it's one of the weakest APFSDS shells that there is in the game, as well as getting the jump on an enemy tank just because you can surround him, that is always a pretty nasty thing to play against. So yeah, 0.3 battle rating higher, and I think a lot of the issues would be gone. Next question from Tyler Harris. Question: do you like to see a roadmap from Gaijin? It shouldn't include planned vehicles, but maybe things like maps, mechanics, etc. Well, I think that Gaijin has internally a roadmap, but certain things have not been on the roadmap that we see right now. For example, as far as I know, Gaijin never planned to introduce this hit camera for tanks and this X-ray view for tanks, but it was just mandatory just because of how the game mechanics in War Thunder is. So how can you kill a tank? Where is the ammo rack? Where sits the crew? Where are certain modules? Why don't I kill the tank when I shoot it there, etc. I think War Thunder is very well done when it comes to offering possibilities for teaching people how to kill a tank. You know, armor view, X-ray view, how you shoot the tank with a simulated shell, etc. The next thing is, I think that Gaijin wanted to introduce ships before they introduced tanks, but as we all know, it happened the other way around because of certain problems. A roadmap from Gaijin at this point in time, I don't know. I think it's more important to fix the game, to bring steadiness back to it, because there is already enough stuff in there. And when it comes to maps, again, take out badly designed maps and rework them and insert them again would be better than to just fill the matchmaker with half-assed maps. Same goes for game mechanics, etc. And we'll see a feature creep all the time with every single patch, something new, infrared vision, night vision. We saw so many adjustments over the course of the years. I just wanna see and enjoy the game as it is right now. Another question from Tyler Harris is, hashtag question: how would you feel about top tier plane maps where the map is set at a high altitude? The better aircraft would perform very well, while the planes that they perform equally to begin to suffer a bit. Of course, I don't expect F-86 Sabres and MiG-15s to perform at all, so maybe also a battle rating fix where matchmaking is limited, either 0.3 up down or 0.7 up down. Well, again, we talk here about an attempt to overcome the compression. High altitude maps, well, I think we have this with the Afghanistan map, something like this. We also have one arcade map. When I switched from realistic battle to when I switched from arcade to realistic battle, Gaijin introduced one high altitude map that I actually never played for arcade. But yes, it is set at rather high altitudes of 5,000 meters. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, sometimes we should see it, and just to reduce the matchmaking spread or battle rating spread to 0.3 or 0.7 is another way of saying we need a battle rating increase for the top tier jets. Then, Jay Wild asks again, hashtag question. Do you think Gaijin would do well new introducing enduring confrontation as a permanent game mode for one of the following? First, $6 1,000 gold needles per month for free-to-play players, or to buy premium account and get it by default. I thought that the original idea of monetizing enduring confrontation was a good one, because only after the community revolted to this when we saw the start to the purposely broken on release premium tanks. Oof, well, you actually have a point there. You have really a point there, but you know, it is titled as a free-to-play title, and you should be able to play everything with the exception of premium tanks. And I think that a lot of people that would love to test this don't really want to take the risk of spending the golden eagles or the money on a probably dead game mode. And I think Gaijin makes already enough money with those said broken premium tanks, with the premium accounts, premium tanks, planes, ships, helicopters, and event vehicles, and the marketplace, and skins, and so many other things, that I think it's again a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they would polish RRB Enduring Confrontation, for example, it would be a beloved game mode if you see it in the first place, because it is a rather rare event currently. It's a never-ending circle of discussion. I see what you mean, but the problem is all the enduring game modes that I saw so far are promising, but currently not worth the money. And I know that Gaijin will implement it in a broken way. That Gaijin will implement it in a way where things get abused and it's not fun and so forth. And I would love to see enduring confrontation for ships, planes, and also tanks. Can you imagine? Tanks! Tank enduring confrontation. Oh, I would love it. Actually, for that one, I would pay. So I hope that answers that question. Then, Fatsikas PK, I hope I pronounced that right, answering the fuel consumption question. I absolutely love realism in games, but I would not matter. Most tanks have over 200 kilometers range or even more. For example, the Panzerkampfwagen 4 had around 350 kilometers of effective range, if I'm not mistaken. We don't have that big maps. Maybe if they implement a game mode where it matters. Yeah, agree to this one. Then Giuseppe Dominguez, question. How I think Gaijin can improve the bomber gameplay, because it is very limited. You spawn, have to clear the bombing points to bomb the airfield, but it is so boring. Need back, land, rearm, climb, and bomb again with a slow plane, and it is also one easy target. Sorry for my English, and I'm really like you and your videos. Well, thank you. Bombers. Oh boy, they need a huge amount of rework, and what Gaijin did announce to rework them with cutting the income, but also cutting the repair costs, it's just the wrong way. The gameplay itself has never changed, and many people, especially those with, even when they are a local vocal minority, that they would recommend a bomber only gameplay game style, no, game mode, that's the one. Yeah, we haven't even seen that one. Then Eric asks, hashtag question, how old are you? Well, too old for that shit. Technoflow, hashtag question, where can I get a Napalmratte patch for my chattel bucket? I don't know. Maybe in the future. I have to figure out. Yeah, I am too long without any sort of patchable things with my logo on it. But again, it is just me having fun and presenting you all the vehicles. I'm not out there for the money. So maybe in the future. So next question comes from Just Hans. Hashtag question. Well, when will Gaijin fix the game? Never. Next question comes from Aristo81 aka Meongarong. Hashtag question: how about making video series about tactical decisions on certain maps and certain game mode, how to get better in ground RB, naval RB or air RB, etc. Another series about ridiculous moments that you've got on War Thunder, something like the good, the bad and the ugly compilations. Well, first of all, about the good, the bad and the ugly compilations, I already have 2 videos about Napalm's finest. Go look them up. I will make also in the future a video Napalm's finest fails, because I have acquired scenes that you would not believe, and they are just burning a hole in my hard drive. Then xpatka 3000 asks a very important question. In your opinion, what makes a good player in War Thunder? I think that War Thunder basically embraces the same points that make a good player like so many other games. It is knowledge about the game mechanics, it's about the knowledge about the weak spot of tanks and the weaknesses of aircraft and ships. So knowing your enemy, knowing your own weaknesses and strengths, situational awareness, planning an attack, and teamwork. Also, you could argue that a good player knows what not to play, because that's also a thing. But also, a good player can, if he really tries, make a bad plane, ship, tank work, but obviously not as efficiently as another one. So there is always this saying that a good player in a bad plane can defeat a bad player in a good plane. Well, we'll talk about this later once you have fought tier the 10.0 supersonic jets into your 9.0 non-supersonic jets. And that's already all the questions asked, and I am under 45 minutes. Wow, heresy. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more. Again, if you have questions, feel free to answer them in the comment section down below. I'll read all your comments regardless if you hashtag with hashtag question or not. But if you hashtag them with hashtag question, I'll answer them in the next episodes of Duck Talks. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Give the video a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.